watching Quad Cities Live.
This is timely. More than 30 years ago, a Quad City photographer named Jay Strickland went to Ukraine on a peace walk, at that time for nuclear disarmament, to document what he saw. And this weekend, the public has a chance to see it as well. Joining me now is the Reverend Rich Hendricks and Kathy Bolcom. And you're both involved in this event that is, this exhibit that is coming up. So thank you for coming in. So first, give us a little more background about Jay Strickland and his trip there and how he documented that.
So he's a black and white photographer, and his, the trip was for nuclear disarmament, as you said, and the idea was to get both people from the Soviet Union and from other countries, including the United States, to come and do this walk. And so they chose Ukraine as the place, and they would go from town to town, where each town would have a little bit of a rally and some sort of event. And Jay, instead of photographing, you know, the speakers, he photographed the people. Just very moving.
Yeah, and you've seen these photographs?
Yes, yes, they're on display at the church.
Yeah.
And Jay is a photographer in sort of the tradition of what's called street photography. And like during the Public Works Administration, when artists were hired to go around the country and to document just what regular folks' lives look like.
Yeah.
And so he had a particular eye for capturing the faces of the Ukrainians. And
things were different then because Ukraine was part of the USSR. And this was before the wall came down.
That's right.
And the opening up. Will people be able to kind of discern that difference in some of these photographs?
Well, that's interesting because, you know, nation states are a fiction. You know, they're in our imaginations as human beings. I think people are just people everywhere, but the Ukrainian people are amazing. You know, these pictures show how amazing they were back then, standing up for peace and nuclear disarmament, and today, obviously in the news, you know, how bold they are in trying to secure their own peace and freedom.
One of the things that Jay is also involved in is peace cranes. So, Kathy, explain that.
Yes. So Jay actually shared with us the other day that when he was a 5-year-old, he learned how to fold peace cranes. But it wasn't until his trip to the Ukraine that a Japanese boy explained to him the tradition of it. And it is about the story of this little girl, Sadako, in Japan, who was 2 when the Hiroshima bomb was dropped. And she survived that. But at 10, she was struck with leukemia. You know, a vibrant, passionate little girl who wanted to run track. And so there was this tradition in Japan that if you folded 1,000 cranes that you would get a wish. So in her hospital room she began folding cranes, and she did not get 1,000 folded, but after she died her family and her friends took up the task, and what that resulted in ultimately was the building of a peace statue honoring her and calling for nuclear disarmament. A very well-known story now because it got shared. And one of the things we're going to be doing also is auctioning off copies of books. Not auctioning, but there'll be a raffle, so everybody will get a chance to win. If you make a donation to help refugees, you can win one of the books about this to take home and share with your families. And then Jay will also be instructing us how to fold peace cranes. So the idea today is that 1,000 peace cranes are folded as an activity to demonstrate that we want peace and that we want to disarm the world. And Jay has done the folding of thousands and thousands of peace cranes over the year. He has become a peace activist, well known in our community. And so when there's an event or a war breaks out, he will find a public space to fold and display cranes. So his goal is to fold 1,000 cranes for Ukraine. So tomorrow he's going to teach us how to do that so that we can help him
it's
with
really
that task.
Very touching and of course symbolic. But you also have, you know, the flower for Ukraine has just really stood out with all that's going on, and there's going to be a raffle for that?
Yes, the sunflowers are the national flower of Ukraine, and of course now it's become symbolic of the fight the Ukrainians have mounted And I have donated a print of one of my sunflower paintings, and that will be raffled off. So if you, again, if you make a donation, you'll have a chance to win the painting or one of the books. Everybody who makes a donation can take home a peace crane, and just to be part of a community effort to demonstrate that we care about world peace.
And finally, the Reverend Hendricks, you have a new exhibit space at your church?
We do. So it's the West Davenport Arts Council art wall at Metropolitan Community Church of the Quad Cities, and we seek to display a different artist each month. So this month, the whole month will be Jay Strickland and his photos. But we want it to be a place where people can come and maybe give an opportunity to display artists who wouldn't otherwise have a place to display their work sometimes.
Yeah. Well, this one I'm sure is going to be emotional and fascinating as well. So I appreciate you both coming in to tell us about this, and then we hope you get a good turnout.
12 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
And if I can just offer the prayer that they give that has to do with the Peace Crane exhibits is, this is our cry, this is our prayer, peace for the world. And so we can all gather in hopes of that tomorrow. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you again.